Samaritan is a new movie from Amazon Prime Video starring Sylvester Stallone as a superhero. And the one thing the world has seriously been lacking in recent years is superhero movies. Let's talk about why. The Samaritan is a movie. I had a little bit of hype around it because the trailer looked really good. And overall, the movie looks fantastic. It looks and has a feel of a blockbuster, old school, almost 90s superhero movie. Maybe 90s superhero movie is kind of pushing it, but it kind of had a really cool vibe to it. It was really well shot, really well produced. Sylvester Stallone in there, of course, one of the most iconic actors in the world, being some of the most iconic characters in movie history. So my expectations were low. And when I finished it, I spent 2 days deliberating, did I enjoy it? That's probably not a good sign. Now, I'm not going to run down the entire story of the movie. I assume that you either know the story or I just won't spoil it for you. But more or less, the basis of the story, the beginning of the story is that there was two superheroes who were brothers. One of them was good, one of them was evil. So I guess one of them was a supervillain, not a superhero. They end up becoming enemies, having a battle, and the supervillain ends up trying to trick his brother into a scenario where he can kill him, basically. They both end up being destroyed. That's pretty much the rundown they gave you at the start of the movie. Obviously a much more simplified version, but you get the gist of it. But the problem was that they made it too obvious what was going to happen, because you've got Samaritan, who's the good guy, and you've got Nemesis, I think, was the bad guy. And they make the whole point of Nemesis was killed with his own plan. However, this kid in the movie ends up being a Samaritan super fan. He's looking for Samaritan everywhere. He's telling people he thinks Samaritan is still alive and he knows who it is. And wouldn't you know it, Samaritan just happens to live across the road from this kid, very conveniently. I did say I wasn't going to run a story. Where did that go? But the whole thing at the beginning is that neither of them are alive, or are they? Samaritan might still be alive. They made it so obvious right from the beginning. Spoiler alert here in case you're watching and you haven't watched the movie. But, you know, if you haven't watched the movie and you're watching the review, go watch the movie, then come back to the review and tell me your opinions. So you've been warned, there's a spoiler alert in effect. But they made it super obvious that Sylvester Stallone could only be Nemesis, because it was kind of too much on the point of, oh, Nemesis died, Nemesis' plan failed, Nemesis wanted to kill Samaritan, Samaritan's still alive. They only gave you the one path of, oh, this is clearly Samaritan, he's got superpowers, he's fighting off the bad guys. But whenever anyone said anything against Nemesis, his temper went up. And he was like, that wasn't Nemesis' plan. When someone tries to suggest that Nemesis' plan was to kill his brother, or to take out the city, or to take over the city, he always snaps a little bit at that. They made it very obvious that the ultimate reveal was going to be that Sylvester Stallone was Nemesis. When it comes to that big reveal at the end of the movie, and they do the flashback, and Nemesis takes off his helmet and reveals young Sylvester Stallone, a very dodgy CGI Sylvester Stallone, it was very obvious. Now, you could be forgiven after my little ramble there for thinking that I didn't enjoy the movie at all. I'm just pointing out that the twist was really bad. That's my main gripe with the movie. The movie had so much going for it. It looked really good. It sounded good. Some of the special effects were decent for this level of movie. The soundtrack was good. It felt like a big movie. Sylvester Stallone was decent in it. The kid was decent in it. But the story overall was weak. And it's just a perfect example of, you can have all the bells and whistles. You can have amazing visuals, amazing sound, amazing special effects. But if your story's shit, your movie's kind of shit. Overall, the story was meh. It wasn't shit, it wasn't great, it was meh. And that's kind of where I find myself with this movie. After deliberating in my own mind for 2 days after watching it, did I enjoy it? Meh. It was kind of dragged out. It felt like a long movie. I felt bored at times in this movie. I constantly picked up my phone throughout this movie. But there was points that grabbed my attention and really had me locked in and watching, engaged, and then that interest just slowly fell off. Pacing is up and down throughout the movie. The storytelling is average, it's not great. And the story overall is weak, but the visuals, the concept I think is good, the execution perhaps is just poor. So when it comes down to a rating out of 10 for Samaritan, it's very much a middle of the road movie. And that's why for me, it's a 5 out of 10 movie. And in saying that, I'd probably still watch this over any other MCU content currently coming out right now.